Hi, everyone. I hope you are well. Checking in today on Thursday, which is the day science will post and collect our chemistry work. And Mr. Hosman did a great job in outlining the ionic versus the covalent bonding. So I just want to go over a couple of things with you visually in helping us understand the difference between the two types of bonds. This is how atoms interact. So we heard that ionic is electron transfer. So metals are on the left, they lose. Non-metals are on the right, they gain. Electron transfer creates this ionic bond, and bond formation is exothermic. Bond formation, exothermic. The energy is released because both species now have the octet rule. And there are some exceptions to that. So just as a summary, Mr. Hosman described when we make these ionic compounds, we create what we call the crystal lattice. Crystal lattice, like a ladder. So if we say that this is the sodium ion and this is the chloride ion, positive, negative, what happens between opposite charges? Good, they attract. They attract. Shout out to Rotem. I can hear your voice in my head. So the whole idea is that because of this glue, because of this attractive forces, this makes a very strong interaction, creates this alternative or every other plus, minus, plus, minus. So every other ion creates this attractive force, and as a result, we get this beautiful crystal. This is sodium chloride. This is the crystal structure of salt, table salt, which I think is one of the compounds in your scavenger hunt. And this, as Mr. Hosman correctly said, high melting point. This has a very high melting point because it takes so much energy to break these crystals apart. I'm going to try to do it. Now, water dissolves these, and that goes into a whole nother story with polar covalent molecules, which are water, pulling ionic crystals apart. So that's going to be a whole nother story. But right now, we understand that the ionic crystal has a high melting point. We understand that the ionic crystal is plus, minus, plus, minus. It has the crystal lattice. And that's really the main ideas summarized. Now, the covalent is the bonding between two non-metals. And we have to realize we're going to learn there's different types of covalent bonds. There's polar and there's non-polar. And we're going to go into that whole story in our next session. So the one thing, the main takeaway about today is there are two major types of bonds. Ionic, which is electron transfer between metal and non-metal. And covalent, which is a molecule, it's molecular, which is two non-metals sharing electrons. So ionic, metal plus non-metal, electron transfer. Covalent, two non-metals, electron share. Okay? So that's the summary, another lens to try to understand the new material here. And I'm going to come back to you with going over the specifics of the assignment regarding the chemical scavenger hunt. See you in a minute. And I'm going to stop the recording. I hope you're all well. Okay.